Hey coaches, welcome back to Football Talk with Coach Chip. We continue in our series. This is the third, I know it says week 2, but this is our third troubleshooting. This week we're blocking buck versus an underfront. The reason it says 2 and it's the third episode of the troubleshooting series is because we have a week 0 in many states around the country, and I counted it as the first week. I know it doesn't make sense. I didn't come up with it, but that's the way it is. Hey, be sure to like the video right now. You know you're going to like it, so go ahead and click on that thumbs up and then check to see if you're subscribed. It's come to my attention that a lot of people think they're subscribed to YouTube channels and they're not. And it doesn't mean you haven't done it before, but for some reason something happens. I don't know. They reset, reboot. But there's been people that I know have been watching the same YouTube channels for years, and they find out they're not subscribed when they double check. So go in there right now. I don't care if you're the biggest fan in the world of Football Talk with Coach Chip. Go check and see if you're subscribed, and then share it with your coaching buddies. And also sneak around, get your wife's phone, your kid's phone, get your kids at school, those of you that are in school, teachers and coaches. You know, that's what I did when I first started the channel. I said, hey, y'all subscribe to the channel. And it worked. All right, don't forget the podcast, Football Talk with Coach Chip, the podcast. Had a great one drop yesterday, a conversation with Coach Bill Smith. And I really enjoyed that one. I enjoyed them all. They've all been good. That's just because we're talking football. But Bill is my oldest friend in coaching. We've been buddies since the summer of 1993 when I moved up to Muscle Shoals, and he'd already been there a year as, we believe, the first full-time strength and conditioning coach in an Alabama high school. Boy, back in 1992, Muscle Shoals did that, and Bill went on to be one of the be on the cutting edge of the air raid and spread stuff in the state of Alabama and in Georgia as he went over there back in the early 2000s and became the OC at Lee County before coming back to Alabama and being a head coach for most of that time. I mean, he's recently retired, and he's double dipping at the Donahoe School in Anniston. It's a great conversation. Just two buddies sitting around talking ball. Good stuff. Hey, the Jet Manual is out there. You say, Coach, season's already started. I'm not telling you to run Jet if you don't run Jet. What I'm saying, if you run Jet and you're having issues, get the Jet Manual. It addresses issues. It tells you how to fix issues. It shows you drills, things you can do right now to make your jet better. And it's not just one way of blocking it. There's several ways to block it in the manual. You find the one that suits your personnel, that suits your team, and it's in there. And also the offensive line manual, sold 3 of those this weekend. Again, if you're a gap down backer team and you're having issues, I get emails from guys talking about our tracks and things like that, and the kids don't understand it. The manual's got a ton of drills in it. It's a great resource if you're a gap scheme team. And again, not telling you now that the season started to put something new in. So I got stuff that can help you do better what you already are doing. And I don't know if that's correct syntax or proper grammar or what, but whatever. So get that. Hit me up at siegel.chip@gmail.com. If you want to dive deeper into the concepts that we talk about here, or you need troubleshooting, you're having an issue, and I get the emails and the text every weekend, every Saturday and Sunday, sometimes on Monday. I think some of y'all must not meet till Mondays. Give me a holler, contact me, siegel.chip@gmail.com. We can set up a Zoom, a consultation. The installs, of course, I don't expect anybody to be installing something new this time of year, but that's a holdover. This card's a holdover from the spring and summer. All right, let's talk about answers to running buck versus an underfront. Now, what I call an underfront is an A-gap defender to the strong side. Some teams use these as their base defense. Not as much as used to be with the loss of tight ends and fullbacks in a lot of football areas around the country. You don't see that as much with people running under fronts. I'll tell you this, if I was coaching against a wing T team, I'd give them an underfront. Or a team that ran a lot of gap schemes, especially buck and down. If you're pulling your front side guard, you should expect underfronts, because that's a darn near impossible block for the center. So I got a message this week from a coach, and they're a wing T team of sorts, but they run buck. And he was saying, Coach, I'm getting a lot of this. We got this last 2 weeks. And he shared some film with me. And I said, you're going to keep seeing it. If defensive coordinators down the road have access to this video, they're going to keep doing this. They had free runners coming up the field and play side A-gap. It didn't hurt them because the D linemen were lost as a goat in a tornado. And they didn't make the play, but I said, you're going to play people down the road. They're going to come through there, and they're going to blow that running back up. And he doesn't want to do some of the options that I gave him, because it would drastically change the way that he blocks buck. Before I started blocking buck the way I do a few years ago, and we'll talk more about that in a moment, this was our adjustment. We went ahead and changed on the down play and the buck, the two plays where we pulled, of course, the belly. But if in the belly, if you had a guy on the side you're running belly to, we just did a down block with the guard, didn't pull him. It was, the belly cross block. You only did that versus a 3. Like if you bellied here, he'd block down and he'd pull and kick. So on our down and our buck, I changed the play side tackles rule. And instead of it being gap down back, or wait a minute, stop clutching your pearls. The gasp was heard clean around the world. Change his rule to first D lineman inside, which may mean he has to take a severe angle. And we literally coached him up to run through the ear hole, shoulder pads of his guard, and told that guard, you got to get your depth and get the heck out of there. And that's when I sold out to the skip pull, because I feel like the skip pull gets you depth. I love the square box pull right there. That's good. But if you're going all the way down to not the gap inside, but the next gap inside, you've got to take a severe angle with your tackle. So the play side guard has got to get his butt, get depth, get out of there. And plus, I've realized that by getting depth allowed him to get downhill on his kick out better. And so that's why we went to skip pull about 2013, 2014, and full time. I had done it some previous, especially on powers, but doing it on the front side of buck when the guy's kicking out, we didn't do it as much. And we just made it, then we said, that's it. We're going to skip pull, because it gets him out of there for that drastic, severe angle for him to get there. So if you don't want to pull tackles and centers, or you can't pull your tackles and centers, which really was his issue. His tackles were not pullers. And I don't even think they run GT. And his center's not a puller. He's got his, he's not that great a lineman, but he's a great snapper. So there you go. So that is my suggestion for blocking it if you don't want to block it the way old Coach Chip blocks it. Here's another slide showing you a more severe angle where he's literally running through the guard. Make the play side tackles angle more severe, get that guard out of there, and now you got it. And you really didn't change the rules. Nobody different is having to pull. You changed one rule. On down and on buck, play side tackles rule, first D lineman inside, not gap down backer. So whether it's a 4-eye, 3, 2, 2-eye, or 1 coming down. Now we did it versus ones, and we had our center try to reach him, and the tackle, and that slowed him down to keep him from getting through the gap initially. But often that center's not going to reach him and get his head across. And then the tackle came down there and T-boned him. I said, it's like somebody running a red light. You're going to crush them right in the dadgum passenger side door and get their butt. right through here, and that kind of slows them down a little bit too. They're trying to fight. They think they're trying to get reached. And what often happen, if they're well coached and they come off right here and he's trying to reach him, he's not trying to reach him, he's trying to block him, but he thinks he's getting reached, he'll fight out and help the tackle by actually meeting the tackle on his way to him. And that's why we really got a lot of mileage out of that. And you say, what about the 3 on the backside? Well, we just told our tackle, you have to dig him out because he's in, remember, it's gap flip, gap hinge. There's a guy in your gap. If there's a guy in your gap, get him. Now that leaves the end as a free runner, but the end's further away from the ball. Okay, sometimes you can't block them all. You just block the ones. The most dangerous threat was always our rule. Now this is from the book, the Big Book of Bucks, right down here in the corner. This is what you do. There's a guy in his gap. There's a guy in his gap. So they got him. Talking about the guards. Play side guard, backside guard. They got a 2-eye or a 1, and they got a 3. So he's going to block the 2-eye, the A-gap D lineman. He's going to block the B-gap D lineman on the backside, and your tackle and guard pull. Okay, this is the way we do it in the Big Book of Bucks, and I got this from a ton of coaches around the country and stole a little bit, some inspiration from pin and pull guys. But now, see, this keeps them from taking Buck away from you and making you change it if you teach this from day one. Now you say, well, Coach, we don't do it that way. Ask yourself, can your tackle pull? Now don't ask yourself, can your tackle pull? Look at your menu, your play sheet. Do you have GT counter? Yes, then your tackle can pull. Now the question is, can your center snap and pull? Again, I'm not recommending you do it at the detriment. Something, maybe take your center before practice, after practice, and have him try it before doing it. All right. Another option is make it a wide power. So if you're a true wing T team and you've got the fullback back here, instead of him going backside to the tackle right here with the fake, have him become the kicker. Just old school power, wide. Oh, well, not used to Coach Powers in here. Not old school power, y'all. Initially, it was an off tackle play where I grew up. And you're still pulling your backside guard, and he's still wrapping, and you just make a stay call. We've made stay calls. We've made Kentucky calls, Kansas calls, things like that. There's all kind of things you can do, or you can just call the play, and you're running like a wide power. And for the running back, it's still Buck. He's still going to come here flat, make that 90-degree cut. You still got a kicker, you still got a wrapper, but you have sealed up that A gap where he can't run through right here by having that guard blocked down. Just make it a power. And practice it, even against teams that don't do it, because if they know you're a Buck team, that may be something they're going to do. They're not going to let you sit there and buck them to sleep. All right. That's it for this episode of Football Talk with Coach Chip. Troubleshooting, running Buck versus an underfront or down. If you're a true wing T team and you still run down, these are things you can do. Consider supporting the show, Football Talk with Coach Chip and Football Talk with Coach Chip, the podcast, by going to buymeacoffee.com, type in /Coach Chip, and you'll see what to do there. There's several options. It's cheap. Just like me, it's cheap. And support the show. Everything remains free, just like it always has. Still got our fall freebies. One of them is the practice plan. It is a Microsoft Excel program. I know the season's already started, but every video that I put this on, I get emails. Coach, can you send me your practice plan? Can you send me your practice schedule? It's all you got to do is fill in your stuff. Mine's set up on 5-minute increments. And you go through it and you just type in what you're going to do. It keeps you on task. I was just talking to a buddy of mine this weekend, and he's still using it. He coached with us years ago, and he was kind of against it. He was kind of old school, and he'd write things down on a card and didn't have time limits, and just, okay, that's good enough for that one. Let's go to the next thing. And now he swears by it, and he's even got where he loves the clock. He said, and it keeps you accountable. And it keeps you from wasting your coach's time, your players' time, and of course for you sub-varsity guys, the parents' time, because they have to bring those kids to practice, pick those kids up, and they have to plan their schedule around your schedule. So when you tell them practice is going to be an hour and a half from 6 to 7:30 for you sub-varsity guys, this will keep you on, it'll keep you on schedule. And then also the call sheet, and it too is getting requests every time I drop a video. I don't care if we're going to be in week 10 before long. If you're not getting out of your call sheet, I'm going to tell you it's free. And if nothing else, you get the 2-point conversion chart and you get the take a knee chart. Tells you, how many timeouts, how much time, when can you start taking a knee at the end of a game. It's very, very practical. And that's on the back side of it. It's the size of a piece of paper. You put it on cardstock if you want, on the front and the back, and then you laminate that joker. And even in bad weather, or heck, if you're down here where we are, just being outside at night, your paper is going to get wet because we have humidity. Believe you me, we love our air so much we want to taste it, and you can taste it down here in the deep South. So all these things are available for free. The sample call sheet and the practice schedule, just for being a subscriber to Football Talk with Coach Chip. All right, hit me up, siegel.chip@gmail.com. Here is a list of our other freebies. As I said on our last video, I've got things available that aren't on here. Some rotated off just for the sake of space. They're still there. And I got some things that I've never really talked about that are on my computer that may be something you need. Say, hey, Coach, do you happen, and I've had coaches do that, do you have anything on this? And I go, let me check. And I'd go check, and sure enough, there was like an old presentation that I had done, an old clinic talk, whatever it was, something I did years ago. It's still on the computer or up in the cloud, and I'll get that and I'll send it to them. So just because you don't see what you want doesn't mean don't hit me up and ask me, do you have that? Okay. All right. Troubleshooting after week number 2, blocking buck versus an underfront. Don't forget right now, if you did not like the video at the beginning when I asked you to, do it now. And also check to see if you're subscribed. And until next time, be elite.